And today in our latest Memories of the Dairy, we welcome my sometimes crazy, adventurous, fun-loving, laid-back cousin, older cousin, Peter Doyle. Please welcome Peter Doyle. Yay! Okay, so Pete, we want to talk about Memories of the Dairy, and interestingly, your family actually got a unique perspective because of all of my father's siblings. It was your family that were born there, actually. So you would have the earliest memories because you were born there. So take us back to your very early days of what you remember, because actually when you were born, you lived at Granny's house, didn't you? Was that when you were born? Or can you take us back to that period when you were born?
Yeah, so I came back, all my young life, my first years were at Granny's house, up until about 1977, so
yes,
the first 10 years.
That's right, and because you were, where were you born actually?
In Brisbane, Marta.
You were born at the Marta, and so you went straight back to where your parents living at Granny's house at that point when you were born?
Yeah.
Because Uncle Dan had, let's actually just take it back one step.
Yeah.
Because you got that unique part where your father took over the farm actually. Let's just go back to that bit. So what happened there? Tell us about your Uncle Dan taking over the running of the dairy.
So when Mum and Dad got engaged, Dad moved into Granny's house and was living in an elegant separate rooms, of course, but they were all living under the same roof. So Granny...
Was Nana there too, wasn't she? Was Nana there too? No, she wasn't. It wouldn't have been. Sorry, yep. No, that's right.
No, she was at still at
Milton, yeah.
Yeah, Bellevue Street. So we, so Mum and Dad and Granny were all living together under the same roof.
That would have been interesting. It'd be interesting if we fly on that wall.
Yeah, well, I think it was a little bit controversial for a couple of reasons, because they were engaged and living in the same household, which was a bit different. But also because I think it was a bit of controversy because Dad had left his father's farm to come and work at Granny's farm. I
remember you actually at your father's funeral talking about that actually. Because he was one of their major workers at the Doyle farm, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Because the brothers had slowly moved away, and I think even Ada had moved away at that time, and Elo, and everyone would slowly sort of moved out and got their own lives, kind of thing. And I think he was a bit short on labour at the farm compared to the early days. And when Dad left and came to Jimboomba, it wasn't. I don't think it was welcomed.
Yeah, because was his parents both alive at that point?
Oh yeah, they were both alive when I grew up.
Yeah. Okay, and because they had dairy, was that a dairy that they had?
They had a cream farm, yeah.
A green farm?
Cream,
right, yeah, right. And so they lost one of their mates. So as soon as he became engaged to Auntie Marie, is that when he left?
Around that time, yeah, he went to live with the Jimboomba.
Who was looking after the farm before him, do you remember?
Well, I think Kerry was the last to leave, and he left. And that's why there was a problem, because
he joined the
railway. Yeah. I think life. I mean, Uncle Kerry, as we know, wasn't very healthy. Like he had some medical problems, kidneys, etc. And so I think he found the work at the farm, pretty draining. And so I think the railway, being a signalman as he was when he passed away, I think. I think that was...
So Uncle Dan actually took over probably directly from Uncle Kerry?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, from what I know, yeah. What Granny would tell him, what he told me, yeah.
Okay. So he, obviously then it wasn't very popular with his family because he left one farm to go to, obviously got engaged to your mum and from his perspective, and I think I remember you saying actually at your father's funeral that he really, because he'd been a farmer, he was very experienced on the farm and grown up on it, so he turned the farm around a bit with the planting of feed for the cows and all that sort of thing, didn't he? So
I think he had a lot of big ideas about what could be done and where to go and how to make it more productive and things like that with machinery and irrigation and the farm was a bit of a funny setup in those early days. It was a mixture of freehold and leasehold property because the Pocket was leasehold, I think, and Lawson's was leasehold, and they basically, they worked together to buy those off the government kind of thing.
Yeah, actually I remember a bit of that now, but you're bringing that up. Yeah, but okay, so you were then born there, so he was then the main milker at the dairy as well as producing the, crops and things like that
growing feed.
Growing feed for the cows.
Yeah.
Did your mum milk with him back then? Did they both milk prior to you being born as well as you guys, so they worked it together? Your mum did teaching too, didn't she?
She became a full-time teacher.
Yeah.
So she was working as a teacher. And back in those days, as soon as you got married in the public sector, public service, you had to resign.
Yes.
You were forced to resign. So she was working up until when she got married.
As a teacher, and then
possibly
then started and milked more, became more of a farm. She might have had your kids then pretty well.
Yeah, I was born pretty quickly, and I think she was working as a supply teacher. You can still work as a supply teacher on a part-time basis.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you're married, but you could work full-time.
I remember Mum talking about losing her job when she got married as well, actually. But okay, so from your perspective, then, obviously, take us back to your earliest memories. You were born there, so you wouldn't remember the first few years. But what are your earliest memories of the dairy? Because you would have been taken down, you would have gone down a fair bit as a toddler and things, wouldn't you? Or dairy and the farm.
Yeah, so my earliest memories of Granny's place and the dairy was, it's very different from what it is now, of course. But basically it was kind of the things that still stick out in my memory of Granny's. Well, I'll start with Granny's house. It was it had the wood stove. That was the main stove that we cooked on, the wood stove. The
one that was still there right till the end, that we would have been there when we moved there later on somewhere?
And it had a hot water system off to the side, so it used water off to the side there. It was of course all tank water with a pressure pump. We had the high tank put in after when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had always seen that there, but I didn't know when it was put in, so...
we used to have I don't know if you remember it, but there was a small garage. So there was a small garage that was there.
Yeah.
A wooden garage, a single wooden garage.
Yeah, it just would fit one car in or one...
Between the cottage and Granny's house.
Yeah.
And that was apparently the detached kitchen for the original house. Granny renovated the house in the post-war years.
Because she filled in the verandas, didn't she?
She extended it and filled in the verandas. And, so it was the original house. You've got a picture of it, I think. You've seen the picture of it?
Yeah.
The painting?
I must admit. I can't remember actually. I have to have a look again somewhere.
I've got a photo of it here, the painting.
Okay.
But there's a painting. It used to have verandas all around it, I think. And you can see, Granny's house now is partly demolished. You can see parts of that older house. So there used to be the house, and there used to be a detached kitchen. And that garage was the detached kitchen. And Granny would talk about that having a great open hearth, whatever it is, at the one end. That she would cook out of. It was basically an open fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the floor was ant bed.
Huh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
And so you've got memories of that, or her telling you of that?
Telling you that, and so they got moved away as part of the renovation, I think, closer to the cottage. And outside the, we used to have a huge wood pile to feed the wood stove. It was a massive wood pile right outside where the telephone pole or the power pole was outside.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Yeah, sort of off to the side, riverside of the bamboo tree.
Yeah.
And we used to have a great big circular saw there on a bench, big bench saw.
Oh.
That was there. And on one of the tractors we had and just sort of remember the old tractor that was there was a Chamberlain or something. It had a wheel on the side of it that was like a PDO output on the side of it, and a big belt would turn the big bench saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so you'd go and chainsaw timber out in a paddock or whatever, or something would fall over, and you'd just drag it back to the tractor and you'd cut it up with the big saw.
So you have the memory of your father doing that all the time? Or? Yeah, because I certainly remember the side of Granny's house where you put the wood through, you know, how you opened up that little...
Through the wood box, yeah. So there was a door on the outside of the kitchen into a cupboard, and that was where all the wood was, right beside the stove, And and I used to get it was one thing I really remember is all the stinging nettles that were out there. We never wore shoes. We were always getting stung with the stinging nettles, but we had this blue codeine type stuff, I don't know what it was, you'd always put it on the stinging nettle.
A Curacome or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a...
I'm just thinking about that because, gee, Mum, you didn't use that with us.
It was it was like this like a blue crystal stuff inside a...
Oh, Condy's crystals or something.
Like a sack or something, yeah.
There you go, that's interesting.
And you used to, it was always in the laundry.
Because I certainly noticed there was stinging nettle everywhere around the baby when in our door by the time we turned up and things like that. So, okay.
Yeah, and we used to have that, and I used to, one of my jobs as a kid was to go and gather up all the chips around the wood pile and bring the chips in, sort of in a bucket or something. And Granny got me a tomahawk one time.
Did you realise it was dangerous giving you a tomahawk?
It's stupid. It was stupid.
Did you just get the wood, or do you remember lighting the fire yourself as well?
Yeah, the stove was pretty much always on. Like, it would occasionally go, but most of the time it was kind of on.
And I guess she baked, well, your mum baked a bit too, didn't she? So, and Granny baked cakes and things like that, patty cakes, and so between them, they probably had baking happening a bit, and
scones and stuff like that.
Scones, and your mother was good at all that, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Actually, so where did you sleep actually at Granny's house?
That's a funny thing actually. Yeah, I used to move around all over the place.
Did you?
It was fun. I just used to set up bed. Because there was just the whole house was full of beds.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
There was Granny's bed. There was Nana would come out, and there was a bed in the corner where Nana would sleep. There was the sleep out. There was another bed out there. There was another bed, sort of.
There's a sleep out behind Granny's room, but there's also the sleep out down the side, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of all open. I think there was a. What was it? No, it wasn't open. There was a wall there. There was a wall there, and there was a bed in there in a single bed. There's a couple of single beds in there now. I think there was a double bed, a couple of single beds. You
mean the sleep out on the not facing Greg and Charlie's place? Because there was a sleep out that way too.
There was another, like an enclosed veranda. So there's an big enclosed
veranda.
So outside Granny's room, the veranda kind of was there, and it would continue all the way around. And Granny put some cupboards in there to sort of close it off there. At one stage, and there was a big old iron bed there. I remember that no one slept out there. But
I think we all did in later years all slept.
Yeah, I think when you guys came down, maybe from Mackay, we tied it up and we had a really like a saggy sort of mattress or bed base, and had one of those like chainmail sort of bases on it. That was pretty stretched and. But there was more beds out in the. Towards the laundry sort of thing, outside the lounge room, kind of thing, and there was more beds in. There was Mum's room, Mum and Dad's room.
I remember that behind the kitchen. There was that room, and Dad's room was behind that again.
Mum and Dad's room was behind the right next door to the lounge room.
Yeah.
And across from that was the junk room.
Yeah.
And
there was a room in between there, wasn't there? That between the kitchen and your Mum and Dad's room, there's a little room.
The boys' room.
There you go.
The boys' room. Yeah.
Because I remember, but didn't we have some? Unless we'd made it up, there was some thing going around that the people had been engaged years ago, the ghost room or something, that was someone's engagement ring was. I obviously don't
know. I don't know that one, but it was the junk room and that room were the scariest rooms in the house for some reason.
Okay.
But yeah.
And you remember Nana coming out to visit you?
Yeah.
In those days, coming out and staying.
Yeah. So I used to. I slept out sort of outside the. One stage I slept outside the lounge room on the veranda. I slept in the sleep out. There's a bed in the corner, like as you went through from the dining room into the sleep out. There's one in the corner there. I used to sleep there. I slept with Granny for a few years.
So you just went wherever you felt like it, okay?
Yeah, it was all right. I don't know what the ration. I think I just had the freedom to sort of go wherever you like. I didn't really mind it.
That's why the laid backness comes from.
Yeah.
No pressure from that perspective.
Well, I mean temperature too. Like it was nice and cool out in the room.
Yeah, that's true. That might
It was
have governed it.
warmer inside probably.